Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Devan. This is a special telecast, viewers. There is frustration and anger over the NEET paper leaks. Young lives and aspirations have been lost, and while there are protests and politics, we have to make now a genuine attempt to address the core problems in our education system and competitive exam structure. NewsX therefore is starting an earnest mission, bringing together educationists, technologists, policymakers, the best minds from all over the world to identify these systemic challenges and make an attempt to try and build a national dialogue to solve the problems and also study the best foolproof case studies from around the world. We will then put together a mission charter and put its implementation, hoping to build the world's best exam system. Gangs, of course, cannot be allowed to defraud the honest efforts of our youth. You can join the campaign by writing to us, tweeting to our social media handles and sending us suggestions. Together, we do believe that we can sit together and ask all the big questions and get those answers as well. I'm going to start this broadcast. I have with me Professor Mahendra Agarwal. He is the director of IIT Kanpur, of course, one of the most premium institutes of the nation. Professor Agarwal, thank you so much, sir, for joining us on NewsX. As I mentioned, sir, this is an attempt now to really put together and understand from your perspective as well, from the perspective of an educationist and also someone who's running IIT Kanpur at the moment. I want to understand firstly from you, what will it take for us to build the best examination system in the world, sir, in your perspective?
It will take a significant investment in the testing infrastructure. When in our country, the competitive exam, and same is true with many other countries, are in great demand. If you qualify, then the position or the career opportunity they offer are very good. So there is a natural desire amongst large number of students to do well. So when there is a large demand and supply gap, the distortions do creep in. There are attempts to cheat, attempts to somehow compromise the system. And that's the examples we have seen in recent times. The solution lies in creating a very robust testing infrastructure where such cheating is minimized. There is no way that we can guarantee 100% security here, but we must ensure a very high degree of security.
So, Professor Agarwal, would digitization of the exam system help in some way? Your thoughts on the same, sir. And how does the government then go about this process? If I'm talking to you logically, if we move away from the theory of it, practically, how does one implement digitization of very critical exams across India?
We have done that already for JEE Advanced. This is conducted jointly by all IITs. This is a completely digitized examination where the question paper is made in complete secrecy by a group of experts. And more than one question papers are made, and nobody knows except one individual exactly which question paper will actually be used for the examination. And just 15 minutes before the day of the examination, before the time of examination, these question papers are released from central server in a password protected way to all the client server at various centers. So they reach the examination venue just 15 minutes before the exam is to begin. They are unencrypted there and then over the next few minutes shared with the candidates. And all the responses are recorded, all the keystrokes are recorded. And so that later on, in case of any issue, this can be reviewed, the log files can be checked. And if there is any discrepancy, it can be detected.
At the same time, sir, I do want to then understand from you, are there some of the best case studies or systems in the world that we can also learn from? and further build on the systems that you are talking about. So the method that you've just pointed out to is the same thing that's followed for UPSC as well, which has not in my recent memory come under any sort of controversy regarding a paper leak per se. So when these systems already exist, why do you think they're not being implemented as far as a huge exam like NEET is concerned?
It's a non-trivial task to shift to a digitized remote examination, and there are challenges there too. For example, the availability of centers, good centers, is a big issue. In JEE Advanced, we are testing about 2 lakh students at a time, and we are already stretched in finding good centers where robustness of the exam can be ensured well. Now, the moment this number goes up, for example, in NEET, the number is close to 20 lakhs. We just don't have the necessary infrastructure, digital infrastructure to support it. And that's one challenge. There is also an issue of vendor monopoly. There is only one vendor who can conduct examination at this scale. And therefore, it becomes a situation where one just has to accept whatever vendor says or does. We have to simply accept. Of course, we can work with the vendor, explain, improve, but it still remains a challenge. So these are some of the things or some of the issues that we need to address before we can scale up.
And that's a fantastic business idea there, Professor Agarwal, for some of the people who might be watching, and of course, I'm sure eventually, it'll be some students from IIT itself who will be coming up with more and more such business ideas, becoming some of those vendors that are required for the digitization of examinations. Before I let you go, sir, one last question. What would you today say to the students that are protesting for reform? How do we regain their trust? How do we regain the trust of the youth?
Yeah, whenever there is a leak, there is a huge loss of trust, because student who prepares for examination intensely and gives the examination, then suddenly feels that all the effort has gone waste. Leads to very natural frustration. That is very understandable. What is required is to work towards creating a very robust examination mechanism. I do not believe personally that holding one or two individuals responsible for this is going to help much. It's really the entire system. And I said, already explained, there are challenges which are quite considerable, and it requires the entire system to work towards making them address those challenges. So that is what is needed. We need to start working now. I do not think that within a year's time we can have a completely robust system, but over the next 2-3 years we can build it.
Absolutely. Professor Agarwal, thank you so much, sir, for that fantastic input there. Conversation with you means a lot to us as well on NewsX now that we have started this campaign for our students. And like Professor Agarwal said, please listen in to his answers. It's my plea to anyone who's watching who wishes to be a tech entrepreneur in India, please listen in to the challenges he's raised. And if there is anybody in this world, any country in this world that can tackle those challenges with the sort of alacrity that is required in India, I'm sure it is one of the Indian youths that are watching. Professor Agarwal, thank you so much, sir, for your time. I'll quickly bring in our next guest, Professor J.S. Rajput, who's the former director of NCERT and also Padma Shri awardee, who's joining us on the broadcast. Professor Rajput, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to NewsX on this very important campaign. I'd like to begin by understanding from you, in your assessment, sir, how do we make the examination system in India completely leak-proof?
You see, there are 2-3 things that I would like to mention. We have the expertise We have the capacity to digitalize the whole system, and we have done much stricter things than conducting the examinations. We have done so much in the space. It should not be difficult for us to conduct a NEET examination or a CBSE examination. Our problems are a bit different. You know, it is said, media has reported that more than 100 paper leaks have taken place during the last 2-3 decades. Not a single person has been punished. You cannot continue this type of situation. To me, after the NEET examination, more than 20 boys and girls committed suicide. Why should those who are indulging in such paper leaks not be prosecuted for murder? But for their acts, those boys and girls would have been living here. They were the talent of the country. As a teacher who began teaching in 1962 in a college of Allahabad University, I feel deeply depressed because our system are not working properly. And that, of course, is the responsibility of the ministry, responsibility of the institutions, that they have to ensure people are penalized, people are prosecuted properly, and there is enough provision of punishment. My thing is very simple. Otherwise, I see no reason why should we allow such type of things. Take the case of solvers. How does it happen in these days when we have so much of technically sound systems to find out who should be sitting and who should not be sitting?
All right, sir, on that note, I also want to then understand from you, Professor Rajput, what are some of the best systems in the world that can be looked at as a case study? We also have certain systems in India. As a speaker before you was pointing out, we conduct a UPSC, we conduct a JEE Advanced as well. So why is it that we're not able to apply the same standards to an exam as critical as NEET or an exam as critical as the 12th board examination as well?
Our problems are, I would say, not with these procedures, these systems, or the acceptance and utilization of new technology. Our problems are, we are all getting accustomed to, chalta hai, theek hai, ho gaya. That type of thing has to be weaned away from the system. It is not only the competence. You may be competent, but you may not be performing. You may not be committed. These are the 2-3 factors: competence, commitment, and performance. They have to match, and the institutions like NTA or the CBSE have to ensure that. Now, if you study 2 things, for example, the NEET failure, CBSE fiasco, and then the successful conduct of the re-examination of the NEET, everything becomes clear, and it also indicates what would be the solution. The solution would be, once our people are alert, this is my first requirement, they are capable of doing it. Number 2, those who indulge in such things, they must be prosecuted, and prosecuted properly. And my third point would be, yes, this time whosoever was responsible for the NEET examination paper leak must be tried for and prosecuted for committing murders. Not one, but over 20 murders.
Right.
Once you do this, things will change, and they will change drastically.
That's a very good suggestion there, Professor Rajput, that let's look at the larger system and the systemic problems, and let's also ensure that people, the mafias that are indulging in these paper leaks and these paper leak frauds, are dealt with properly. They're not just cases that begin in courts and they reach nowhere, absolutely nowhere. But Professor Rajput, I also want to understand from you, sir, how do we then address some of the pressures that are created in the minds of young individuals when they are competing in some of these competitive exams where there are very few seats and lakhs of aspirants come together? How do we address that situation in India, sir?
You see, when I appeared in my first university examination in 1960, I had no tensions. I was so confident that my system is an honest system. It has a credibility and it is being run by honest people. When my doctorate examination was conducted, I never knew who is my examiner. Only when I went to the hall, I was told so and so is your examiner. Now, young people have lost confidence in the system, and that has to be restored. That can be restored only by a combined strategy in which the prosecutors, the professors, the institutional heads, they have to think in harmony. They must synchronize their actions and restore the credibility and dignity of the system. You know, we had so much of faith in public service commissions. We had no doubt that they are honest people. Now, why this has happened? And I have a solution here also. I can explain this in a better manner. You know, one of our most distinguished educationists was Professor D.S. Kothari. His report, National Education Commission report of 1964-66, gave us the 1968 policy. Dr. Kothari used to say that India needs STP, Science, Technology and Production. After about 10 years, that was around 80s, he changed this. India needs Science, Technology, Production and Gandhi, STPG. And Gandhi, he meant values. Commitment to the profession, commitment to values, commitment to the learner, commitment to the society. And if this is done, we shall never have this ignominy of being a country where paper leaks happens regularly and every yearly. So you have to have a broader view. You have immediate solutions for next year, but in the longer period, if you want to make a long-term strategy, you have to come back to values, commitment, performance, selections of the people, selection of the agencies. CBSE suffered because they make a wrong choice of the particular company. So that type of thing, there have to be two strategies, and I think Government of India could appoint a national commission on this, how to conduct examination, and it should be applicable to all the examinations, right, not only for NEET or CBSE, but in state boards everywhere, where things are not going on well. We had that in 60s. We were very confident, young people had no tension. And now it is the generation to which I belong which is responsible for creating all these tensions.
Right, sir. Before I let you go, one last question, sir. What would you say, sir, to the students who are protesting for reform?
Beg your pardon, I can't. Please
Sir,
repeat.
my last question to you, what would you say to the students who are protesting for reform?
I would say to the students, I have been seeing these things for pretty long time. My advice to you is try to enhance your self-confidence and take a resolve that when you take over the system, you will ensure that things are conducted with honesty, integrity and with values. This is all I would say. Take a determination that you will change this system, which my generation could not change. We represent failures. May you represent the success.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Rajput, for joining us on NewsX with that perspective. Let me, on that note, welcome our next guest, Mr. Amitabh Thakur, former IG of UP, joins us on the broadcast. Sir, thank you for speaking to us. Mr. Thakur, my first question to you, sir. How do we today regain the trust of our youth? What needs to be done immediately?
To my understanding, one of the most important requirements as they are asking for is to have examination system which is foolproof and genuine. And from whatever I had been listening to the previous two speakers, my understanding is that whatever wrong is happening, definitely It is less to do with system and more to do with intent, at least in India, because whenever paper leaks are happening or whenever examinations are being bugged or improprieties are being undertaken in examinations, it's always with some ill intent, some persons supervising the entire operations, one or more persons who hijack the system and who use it for their own benefits. Corruption, in my understanding, is the root cause for the failures that take place. This case also they are targeting a few individuals. I need not name them, but from whatever experience I have and from whatever understanding I have, I cannot deny the allegations being made by the students. There are always some root causes that actually lead to such improprieties and criminalities.
Sir, at the same time, countries like China and Singapore, they treat some of these nationwide examinations, very critical examinations, literally like military operations. Do you think that's a model that India should follow?
India needs to understand that taking at least the competitive examinations and particularly the competitive examinations in a truthful manner is one of our genuine needs. We all know whenever such examinations take place, lakhs of people, lakhs of students participate in them. They move from one place to other places, they participate in the examination, and then when they realize that they have been rigged, they, their families, and the entire society actually gets hurt by the process. But what is even more hurtful is the fact that these leakages, these criminalities, these improprieties, and these illegalities are never actually taken seriously by the governments. And what we call in Hindi lipa poti, there is always an attempt to wash away the guilt, to save the real accused persons. So that, in my understanding, is truly crucial in the entire set of affairs. When you are talking of China, you are talking of other nations. I'm sure that they are very particular not only about the way examinations take place, but also to ensure that if at all a leakage takes place, accountability is actually fixed. In our nation, this accountability factor is completely lacking, or at least that is the way I perceive the things to be happening for a very long time.
Mr. Thakur, before I let you go, sir, I also want to understand from you what stringent measures or what change in law do we need to bring so that we deter some of these examination mafias that are operating in the country? Why are we not being able to crack down on them?
Not being able to crack down, the answer is simple. The answer is political patronage. Like I belong to Uttar Pradesh, and I know of many education mafias, I will call, or the examination mafias who are members of legislative assemblies of different political powers, and it is rather alarming that these MLAs belong to many different spectrum of political parties. They belong to one and all. So it is the need. The first thing is political patronage. Now, whatever the solution in my understanding is that we need to have people who want to genuinely keep a watch on that, because having watchdogs, having people who look after these affairs and who do it sincerely. The systemic failures can only be checked by people who are doing their watchdog work with honestly, earnestness, sincerity, and without any improper or illegal intent.
All right, Mr. Thakur, before I let you go, sir, one last question. What would you say to the students who are protesting for reform? What's your message to them?
My message to them would be, the first thing would be that I would definitely thank them for having brought out a very important point, because there is always a tendency to hush them down, to silence them, to make them not speak the facts or the realities. This has been going on for years, and I am truly thankful to them. So my first thing is to salute them and to thank them for having come at a place even at their own cost to have brought this issue at the center stage. The second thing is that they must continue their protests democratically and with all full faith in themselves. Democracy and value to law and order is one point. Having faith in they are pursuing a right cause and they must stick to it. That is what, in case they ask for my opinion, that is what I would tell them.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on NewsX in this special episode of Mission Exam Shield. On that note, let me introduce our last guest, Dr. Rajiv Gupta, ex-professor of University of Rajasthan. He joins us from Jaipur. Dr. Gupta, thank you for joining us on NewsX, sir. I have to begin by asking you, in your assessment as an educationist, sir, how can India build a completely leak-proof examination system?
I think 2 or 3 points should be taken into consideration. Organizations like UPSC are completing 100 years in 2026 because it was formed in 1926. And then we must examine the multiple realities of India and the heterogeneity which we find in terms of language, in terms of groups. And I think our examination system after 1991 means the formation of the neoliberal economy. We are failed to address all these issues. In fact, the most important part which I would like to mention before you for consideration, that the system of knowledge is now linked with the campuses, with the colleges, and informations are found in coaching centers. Unfortunately, the examination system is not based upon knowledge, it is based upon information. And as a result, we find every kind of misdeeds in the examination system. So our examination system is not knowledge centric, it is information centric. And if information becomes the vital issue, then cheating will be there, then papers will be leaked, entire examination system will be in trouble, and the market system, the mafia and the other non-institutional forces, they will come into action and provide all sorts of facilities to those who are interested in employment through any kind of activity which they can have. It is the result of the money power, it is the result of the political power.
When we say it's the result of a political problem, so how does then one deal with that? We were just speaking to the former IG of Uttar Pradesh, who said that a lot of the exam mafias, there is no crackdown on them because there's political patronage. A lot of those people who are running these mafias are in fact a part of the political system. So how does one now really deal with this with an iron fist?
In fact, political power and money power, both are clubbed. And after neoliberal economy expansion, mafia has come into existence in all the systems of society. We find everywhere the role of the mafia, and that mafia is supported by the political system everywhere. So there cannot be any possibility of crackdown. If political system comes with honesty, if administration comes with honesty, then only crackdown is possible. In fact, crackdown can occur when institutional support is there. If institutional support is related with the illegitimate activities, then how can we expect any possibility of crackdown?
Absolutely. At the same time, sir, I want to understand from you, should all competitive examinations in India then follow a UPSC-like model? And how do we then convince the government to really work on such a scheme for examinations across the board? We conduct UPSC, we conduct the JEE Advanced, and all of these are pretty much leak-proof systems as much as they can be. I know that there's no 100% leak-proof system in the world even. But is that an appeal that has to be made to the government, that is, in any examination that is a nationwide exam, that's a critical exam, kindly let us put together the resources and follow paths of UPSC, of a JEE?
In fact, we must examine the multiple realities of India. Please, since you have introduced Mission Examination Shield, I would like to frame two kind of systems for you. One system which is associated with STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This is one examination. Another is social science, humanities, and language. We have combined both, and as a result, everything has become, in fact, so sketchy. It has become so unwieldy that each and every student is now facing a trouble. Go with UPSC. In UPSC, one question I can raise with all my friends. In UPSC examination, a graduate from IIT is taking sociology. He is taking philosophy for competitive examination rather than computer engineering or electrical engineering. What is the cause of it? In fact, the entire examination system is full of inconsistencies. As a result, all these activities are coming up, and I am sure there is a need of complete qualitative transformation in these systems. Otherwise, we cannot make any amendment in the interest of the students.
Right, absolutely. Sir, my last question before I let you go, what would you like to say to the students that are currently protesting for reform? Your message to them.
Students who are protesting is an enlightened lot. Now they have understood what kind of malice is there, what kind of inconsistencies are there, and where we are moving. They are in fact facing unemployment. They are facing education system which is based upon information, which is based upon knowledge, which is based upon several kind of things in which they are not interested. And in fact, the most important part is student is not a idea. Student is not present in the class. Student is not discussed. In fact, we are giving inorganic education to them, and they are now understanding this kind of pathologies in the field of education. So I salute them, and their demands are genuine. In fact, if anything happens which is not in the interest of society, the accountability should be there, and students are at right path.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Gupta, for joining us on NewsX with your perspective